Okay, moving on with number 5, we're going to do some more inverse of one-to-one functions. And you might want to look at these pictures on Desmos. This is the square root function. This is the cube function. And then we have a linear function here, and they're all one-to-one functions. So remember our steps in finding the one-to-one function. The first thing we're going to do is replace the function name with y. And so I'm going to write y equals the square root of x plus 6. Then I'm going to interchange the x and the y, so I have x equals the square root of y plus 6. And then I'm going to solve this for y. Little step that maybe not as familiar to some, but we will get the square root of y here, and then we'll square both sides here, okay, to remove our square root. All right, and then squaring this, we remember we want to take this times itself, so we get equals y, and then multiplying that out, we get x squared minus 12x. My pens are kind of dying on me here. Let's see if this one works a little better. X squared minus 12x plus 36 equals the inverse of f of x. Now, it's a little tricky on this problem. I don't know if you'll see this one in the Hawk system, but this function only works for values that are greater than 0. So on the inverse, we want to state that we're going to use x is greater than or equal to 0, okay, for the inverse. And I'm not sure you'll get to see that one in the Hawk system, but hopefully I can find a black pen that's going to work a little better for us here. Okay. On this next one, we're going to replace and write y equals negative 3x cubed minus 7. Then we're going to flip-flop our x and y. Then we're going to add 7 to both sides to get rid of the 7 because we're solving for y. And we get x plus 7 equals negative. Okay. Then we're going to divide by negative 3. We want to get this cubed isolated. We're trying to isolate y. Okay. And at this point, we should know how to clean this up a little bit, but I'm going to shorten the problem a bit here and kind of leave it not maybe in the best form here. But I'm going to move my negative to the top, so I have negative x minus 7 over 3. And then I'm going to cube root both sides. So I'm going to cube root this side and cube root this side. Okay. So technically, this is the inverse here, the cube root of negative x minus 7 over 3. But what you might see is that the Hawk system or a teacher might write not simplified, because often we want to take care of this this radical in the denominator here. Okay. So I'm going to do this last problem in blue, just so it shows up a little better. So we have y equals negative 11 minus 3x. Then we're going to flip the x and the y, or interchange them. And then we're going to add 11 to both sides. Remember, this is finding the inverse of a one-to-one function. So we have x plus 11 equals negative 3y. And then we'll divide by negative 3. And I get I'm going to get y here, but I'm just going to kind of shortcut a little bit and get to my inverse notation. And then usually we don't like the negative in the bottom of a fraction, so when we move that negative up to the top, we have to think of it traveling through the whole numerator, so I get negative x minus 11 over 3. Okay. Maybe the most interesting one to put into Desmos would be this one right here. You could put in your original function. Okay, there's the original function. Type that in, and then type in the inverse function, and then see how those react in Desmos. Okay. All right.